Okay, this talk is that garbage, benchmark is useless, identifying bad technical marketing. Let's go. I hope this is going to do. Okay, so I'm Ronen Botzer. I've been at a database company. We're not supposed to mention it by names for 5.5 years. I started an engineer. There was a solution architect. Now I'm doing director of product. That's what happens when people die. Useless people come in. Anyway, who actually cares about benchmarks? Nobody. When you go to those parties where it's all engineers, maybe you're allowed to talk about it, but my wife would kill me if I ever mentioned that there. If you're here, you've probably heard about one. Benchmarks are usually a marketing job. They're not engineering. Maybe they have an engineer associated with them, but usually companies really use them to cover up technical debt. Okay, so you're engineers. You're supposed to be rational and competent in theory. It's time you're supposed to be a little more skeptical too. So I want to point out some tricks that I've been noticing so you can protect your mind. My examples are database related because that's what I know, but it works to everything. So I saw this thing online with like a CTO of a database company, and I usually trust bald people. So, and he was talking about how he has an active cluster that's deployed across continents, and he can do transfer of data between them in less than a millisecond. And that was fucking amazing because you know what? It's magic. The distance between Virginia and Frankfurt is 6,000 kilometers. Speed of light, that's 22 milliseconds one way, okay? But somehow with CRDTs, the guy is fucking sending messages back and forth, eventually consistent in less than a millisecond. Okay, so what the hell is going on here? The trick is, in the talk, the guy says, hey, less than a millisecond writes, then he drops the fact that it's local, then he adds the word that has nothing to do with anything like CRDT, because it has nothing to do with latency, and then he puts a picture of two continents, and now in your head, you know that they do that, okay? So that's bullshit, okay? Okay, so one thing is, strong eventual consistency and strong consistency, as you saw yesterday, are not the same thing. They're academic terms that mean completely different things, okay? That's just like saying that the Santa Cruz Warriors, where I'm from, are the same as the Golden State Warriors. Just because they won the first place in their own leagues one year doesn't mean they're the same thing. So, just be aware of that. Are they obfuscating terms, and why are they obfuscating terms? Next thing, bad benchmark smells. We'll go over a few, like bad code smells. So first thing, the massively over-provisioned smell. Recently, an IoT benchmark for a company we're going to call S does a databases. They have a total data set of 7 terabytes. The 83-node cluster has 31 terabytes of RAM, 300 terabytes of disk. So why would you need a data set so small if the fucking capacity is like 100 times bigger? Does this actually tell you anything about a real deployment? If would you ever deploy 100 times more hardware for something? Next thing, the absurdly over-provisioned data set. We had some company, database 2, let's call them R. They use 100 billion keys, 100 bytes, 93 gigabytes. These 93 gigabytes are running on 40 nodes that have 6 terabytes of RAM, 1% utilization. You know what else is close to that 1%? The L2 cache. Now the real question is, do you know anybody's going to buy an L2 cache database? Because I don't. And that's, is this pure marketing or not? That's kind of how it feels. Okay, the next thing is that data access is in random pattern. Which means that all the clients are asking for the same data at the same time. So it's not only in DRAM, it's all cached in L2, L3. It's fantastic, but it'll never happen to you in the real world. So maybe that's a useless benchmark as well. Is this anything like the real access pattern, that you would actually get? Unless maybe your clients always ask for 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. The next thing is the benchmark tool actually doing a random load when you say dash dash data or random data? Okay, next thing, unfair comparison smell. Is the competing system misconfigured? Okay, is the competing system used in a way that nobody actually ever uses it? An honest benchmark actually gives a chance for the other system, right? And a real benchmark is written like a physics paper. You should be able to read it, evaluate it, and critique it. All right? Next thing, the not reproducible smell. The procedure that's used for the benchmark isn't detailed in any way. The configuration tuning parameters are missing. A good benchmark, again, should give you all the fucking details so you can actually tell for yourself, is this real or not? So can you verify this independently? That's kind of an important thing for any research. Last thing, almost, really cool, the restricted speech smell. So nobody but the customers have access to the actual software. The customers, even though they're paying for the software, are not allowed to actually write about it. Legally, they're not allowed to blog about it. So what do they have to hide? All right? If you see something like that, then maybe it's a problem. So I hope these things are useful. You should read benchmarks closely with a critical eye. Probably do your own proof of concept if you care. And thanks for listening.
minutes.